Commander Kira stared at the old data files scattered across her desk. The dim light of her office made the ancient symbols look even more mysterious. She had been working in the Hegemony Fleet Archives for 5 years, but these particular records always gave her an uneasy feeling. The files came from dozens of different worlds, all now dead and empty. Each civilization had left behind warnings about the same thing, a silent world somewhere in the outer edge of the galaxy. The stories were always similar, though written in different languages and by different species. Beware the third world. Of the Yellow Star, read one translation. They fight without honor and leave only death behind them. Another file, this one from a race called the Veltari, contained a desperate message. We tried to expand into their territory. Now our fleets drift empty in space. Do not make our mistake. Kira picked up another data crystal. This one was older, maybe 3,000 years. The writing was faded, but she could still make out the words. The sleepers must not be awakened. Let them stay buried on their world of dirt and water. Most of her colleagues thought these records were just stories. Ancient fears passed down from one generation to the next. They said civilizations always created monsters in their myths to explain things they could not understand. But Kira was not so sure. She had noticed something that others missed. Every single warning mentioned the same location, a system with a yellow star and a third planet. The coordinates were always the same, no matter which civilization had written them down. 3 days ago, everything changed. Survey ships had started disappearing near that exact system. The first one, the Starwalker, had sent back normal reports about asteroid fields in empty space. Then, nothing. Complete silence. The second ship, Deep Ranger, had lasted 2 days longer. Their final message was strange. Something is watching us. The equipment keeps picking up signals, but there is nothing here. Just dead worlds and old metal. Now a third ship was missing. The Farseeker had vanished without even sending a distress call. Kira stood up and walked to the large window of her office. Outside, the busy traffic of the space station continued as normal. Cargo ships moved between the docking bays while patrol fighters practiced their formations. Everyone acted like nothing was wrong. But Kira knew better. She had read the old warnings too many times to ignore them now. Something was stirring in that distant system, something that had been quiet for 3,000 years. She turned back to her desk and activated the communication system. Admiral Voss, this is Commander Kira. I need to speak with you immediately. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired and annoyed. What is it, Commander? I am very busy with the missing ship situation. Sir, I believe the disappearances are connected to the ancient records in the archives. The warnings about the Yellow Star system, Admiral Voss frowned. Those old fairy tales. Commander, we have real problems to deal with. 3 ships do not just vanish because of some ancient ghost stories. With respect, sir, every civilization that encountered this system left the same warning. The coordinates match exactly. They all say the same thing. Never wake the sleepers of the third world. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Kira could see him thinking, considering her words. Finally, he spoke. Send me everything you have on those records. All of it. And Commander, yes sir, if you are right about this, if those stories are more than just myths, then we may have made a very serious mistake. Kira nodded and ended the call. She gathered all the ancient files and began copying them to secure data crystals. As she worked, one particular warning kept running through her mind. It was from the last message of a civilization called the Krexni, written just before their entire species vanished from history. We thought we were strong. We thought our weapons made us masters of the galaxy. But they were always watching, always waiting. They let us build our empire, let us think we were safe. Then they reminded us who the real masters are. Do not follow our path. Do not wake them. Some things are better left sleeping in the dark. Kira finished copying the files and prepared to send them to the Admiral. She had a terrible feeling that it was already too late. 3 ships had already disturbed whatever was sleeping in that distant system. Outside her window, the stars looked the same as always. But somewhere among them, in a system marked by a yellow sun, something ancient was beginning to stir. The sleepers had been disturbed, and the galaxy was about to remember why their ancestors had been so afraid. She pressed the send button and leaned back in her chair. Whatever happened next, at least she had tried to warn them. The ancient voices had spoken across thousands of years, begging future generations to learn from their mistakes. Now it remained to be seen if anyone would listen before it was too late. Captain June watched the mining laser cut through another asteroid with practiced ease. The operation in the Sol system had been running smoothly for 2 weeks now. His crew was happy because the asteroid belt was rich with rare metals, and rich metals meant good bonuses at the end of the mission. Target the next one, June called out to his mining chief, a tough woman named Myra who had been working space rocks for 20 years. Already on it, Captain, Myra replied, adjusting the plasma cutter's beam. This batch should give us enough platinum to make the company very happy. The mining ship Rockbreaker moved slowly through the asteroid field. Around them, dozens of smaller mining drones worked like busy insects. cutting and collecting pieces of valuable metal. Everything was normal and routine. Then Mira noticed something odd. "Captain, there's some old junk floating near asteroid 7 Alpha. Looks like metal debris." June looked at his scanner. Probably just old space trash. Cut around it. But, as the plasma beam moved closer to the asteroid, it accidentally hit one of the metal objects. The thing was bigger than it looked from far away, maybe the size of a small building. When the hot plasma touched it, sparks flew in all directions. "Oops," Myra said. "Hope that wasn't important." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the metal object started to glow with a soft blue light. More objects around it began lighting up too, one by one, like candles being lit in a dark room. "What in the galaxy is that?" June asked, staring at his screens. The damaged object was sending out signals. Not just radio signals, but all kinds of communication that June had never seen before. His ship's computers were going crazy trying to understand what they were receiving. "Captain," his communication officer, a young man named Tay, called out with worry in his voice. "These signals are using technology I don't recognize. Some of them are coming through quantum channels that shouldn't even exist." More metal objects throughout the asteroid field began to wake up. They had been floating there for so long that space dust had covered them, making them look like rocks. But now they were clearly artificial, clearly built by someone with very advanced technology. "Are they trying to talk to us?" June asked. Tay shook his head. "No, sir, they're not talking to us at all. They're talking to each other, and they're sending information somewhere else. Somewhere, down there." He pointed toward the third planet in the system. Earth looked like a blue and green marble from their distance, peaceful and quiet. But the signals were definitely going there, and something was answering back. "Captain," Myra said, her voice tight with fear, "the scanner is picking up massive structures under the ground on that planet. They're huge, like city-sized huge." June felt his stomach drop. Underground cities. "But our surveys said that planet was dead." "The surveys were wrong," Tay said, his hands shaking as he tried to make sense of the incoming data. "Whatever's down there has been listening to us since we arrived. These signals, they contain information about our ship, our weapons, our crew. They know everything about us." The metal objects in space were clearly satellites, ancient ones, that had been pretending to be space junk for who knows how long. Now they were fully active, scanning everything in the system and sending detailed reports to the planet below. "Captain," Tay said, his voice barely a whisper, "I'm reading signals going out from that planet to other star systems, lots of them. They're sending information about every major civilization in the galaxy. Ship designs, weapon types, political structures. It's like they have files on everyone." June sat down heavily in his command chair. "How long have they been watching us?" "Based on the technology signatures, these satellites are at least 3,000 years old, maybe older." 3,000 years, Myra repeated. "That means they've been watching the entire galaxy for 3,000 years without anyone knowing." The implications hit June like a physical blow. Every war, every peace treaty, every secret military project. If these watchers had been observing for 3 millennia, they knew about all of it. The galaxy's entire history had been recorded by silent observers who had chosen to remain hidden. "Sir," Tay said, "I'm getting a new signal. It's coming from the planet's surface, and it's addressed to us." "What does it say?" Tay was quiet for a long moment, reading the translation on his screen. "It says, 'Thank you for waking us up. We have been sleeping for a very long time. Now we need to talk.'" June looked at his crew, seeing his own fear reflected in their faces. They had come here to mine asteroids and make money. Instead, they had accidentally awakened something that had been patiently watching the galaxy for thousands of years. "Send a message to Fleet Command," June ordered. "Tell them we have a first contact situation, and tell them," he paused, thinking about the ancient warnings in the archives. "Tell them the sleepers are awake." On the planet below, lights began appearing in patterns across the continents. Whatever lived down there was stirring, and the galaxy was about to meet its watchers face to face. Admiral Essio stared at the reports flooding into his command center. Every few minutes, another message arrived from scout ships throughout the galaxy, all saying the same impossible thing. The sleeping satellites around Earth were not just active, they were identifying every ship, every station, every settlement within 1,000 light-years. "This cannot be real," he muttered, rubbing his tired eyes. His aide, Lieutenant Hanna, placed another data pad on his desk. "Sir, the Vextari Confederation just confirmed it. The satellites know their fleet positions, their weapon systems, even their secret military bases, everything." Admiral Essio picked up the pad and read the report. The Vextari were one of the most secretive military powers in the galaxy. They kept their true strength hidden from everyone, even their allies. But, somehow, the ancient satellites around Earth had detailed files on all of it. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Those satellites have been floating in space for 3,000 years. How could they know about civilizations that did not even exist back then?" Lieutenant Hanna pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red dots mark the positions of all known civilizations. Sir, our computer experts think the satellites have been passively scanning and recording everything for millennia. They never sent signals, never revealed themselves. They just watched and learned. The display zoomed in on different sections of the galaxy. Each red dot was accompanied by detailed information, population numbers, military strength, trade, routes, political structures. Information that should have taken decades to gather was all there, organized and complete. Look at this, Hannah said, highlighting the Krex Empire. The satellites know about the Emperor's secret illness. They know about the planned invasion of the Outer Rim. They even know about the hidden weapons research on Krex Prime. Admiral SEO felt sick. The Krex Empire's invasion plans were the most closely guarded secret in the galaxy. Only 5 people in the entire empire were supposed to know about them. Yet somehow, watchers from a supposedly dead world had been collecting this information for years. What about us? He asked quietly. What do they know about the hegemony? Hannah's face went pale. Everything, sir. Our fleet movements, our alliance agreements, our defensive weaknesses. They have detailed maps of our home worlds and accurate counts of our military resources. A new message appeared on the main screen. It was from the Talvek Union, one of the galaxy's smaller powers. Admiral SEO read it with growing horror. The Earth satellites have transmitted our private diplomatic communications to 17 other civilizations. Our secret trade deals are now public knowledge. Our government is collapsing. How did they get these files? Similar messages were coming in from across the galaxy. The Morphic Collective reported that their biological weapons research had been exposed. The Free Traders Alliance discovered that their smuggling routes were being broadcast to law enforcement agencies everywhere. Sir, Lieutenant Hannah said, her voice shaking. We are receiving a direct transmission from Earth's surface. Put it on the main screen. The display changed to show a simple room with white walls. A human male sat at a desk, wearing plain clothes. He looked ordinary, like any person you might meet on the street, but his eyes held a depth that spoke of vast knowledge and patience. Greetings, the human said in perfect hegemony standard language. I am Jin, speaking for the people of Earth. We know you have questions about our knowledge of galactic affairs. Admiral Essio leaned forward. How do you know our languages? How do you know our secrets? Jin smiled sadly. We have been watching, for 3,000 years, Admiral SEO, not because we wanted to spy, but because we needed to understand. The last time we participated in galactic politics, billions died. We chose to step back and observe. You have been spying on us for 3 millennia without our knowledge, Admiral SEO accused. We have been learning, Jin corrected. Every civilization follows the same pattern. First comes expansion, then exploitation, then war, then collapse. We watched your ancestors make these mistakes. We watched their descendants make them again and again. The human touched a control on his desk. The display showed images from across galactic history, wars, destroyed planets, fallen empires. All of it had been recorded by Earth's hidden watchers. We did not want to interfere, Jin continued. We hoped you would learn from past mistakes. But now we see the same patterns repeating. The Krex Empire prepares for war. The Vexteri build secret weapons. The smaller powers form alliances that will only lead to larger conflicts. Admiral Essio felt anger rising in his chest. You had no right to watch us without permission. You had no right to collect our private information. And you had no right to enter our system and wake our sleeping satellites, Jin replied calmly. But here we are. The question now is what happens next. Lieutenant Hannah whispered urgently to Admiral Essio. Sir, our intelligence division reports that similar transmissions are being sent to every major power in the galaxy. The humans are talking to everyone at once. Jin seemed to hear her words despite the distance. Yes, we are speaking to all galactic powers simultaneously. For too long, we watched in silence while you prepared for another great war. Now that silence is broken, it is time for the galaxy to know that Earth remembers everything, and we will not allow history to repeat itself. The transmission ended, leaving Admiral SEO staring at a blank screen. Around him, his staff worked frantically to assess this new threat. But SEO knew the truth that terrified him most. It was not really a threat at all. It was a promise. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from 47 different civilizations sat in their assigned seats, all staring at the empty platform in the center of the room. For the first time in 3,000 years, Earth had requested to address the Council. Council leader Zara looked around the chamber nervously. The past week had been chaos throughout the galaxy. Every major power was demanding answers about Earth's surveillance network. Some wanted war, others wanted negotiations, but all of them were afraid. The human representative is arriving, announced. The chamber's computer system, a simple transport ship, docked with the council station. It was small and unremarkable, nothing like the grand vessels that usually brought important ambassadors. From it stepped a single human male, wearing plain dark clothes. He carried no weapons, no guards, no ceremonial items. He looked like an ordinary person, but everyone in the chamber knew better. "I am Wu," the human said as he walked to the center platform. His voice was calm and clear, easily heard throughout the massive chamber. "I speak for the people of Earth." Council leader Zara activated her microphone. "Ambassador Wu, the Galaxy Council demands an explanation for your species' unauthorized surveillance of civilized space." Wu looked directly at her. "We observed because we needed to understand what had become of the galaxy after we left. What we found disappointed us greatly." Angry voices erupted from around the chamber. The Krex representative stood up, his face red with fury. "You had no right to spy on sovereign nations. Your actions are an act of war." "War," Wu repeated softly. "Yes, you are very fond of that word. In the past 3,000 years, there have been 2,847 major conflicts in this galaxy. Over 40 billion beings have died in these wars. Each time, the survivors promised it would never happen again. Each time, they were wrong." The chamber fell silent. The number was too specific, too accurate to be a guess. The humans had been counting every death, recording every conflict. "What do you want from us?" asked the representative from the Talvik Union. Wu's expression remained calm. "We want you to stop making the same mistakes your ancestors made. The mining operations in our system will end immediately. All military vessels will withdraw beyond the 10 light-year exclusion zone around Earth, and the galaxy will establish new protocols to prevent the wars that are currently being planned." The hegemony admiral, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. "And if we refused, will you destroy us like the ancient stories claim?" For the first time, Wu smiled, but it was not a happy expression. "Admiral Kong, your fleet is currently positioned at the edge of our system. 43 battlecruisers, 12 carriers, and over 200 support vessels. You came here to intimidate us." Admiral Kong's face went pale. "The fleet's position was supposed to be secret. Your ships are impressive," Wu continued, "but they are not alone out there. For 3,000 years, we have been building and waiting. What you think is empty space around our system is actually filled with defense platforms. They have been watching your fleet since you arrived." A new voice spoke from the chamber's communication system. It was another human, speaking from Earth. "Admiral Kang, this is Defense Coordinator Lee. Your flagship is the Eternal Victory. Correct, you have 12,000 crew members aboard. Your shields are currently at 60% power, and your main weapons are not charged." Admiral Kong grabbed his personal communicator. "Fleet Command, report status immediately." The response came through clearly, heard by everyone in the chamber. "Sir, we are completely surrounded. Objects that we thought were asteroids and space debris are revealing themselves as weapons platforms. They know everything about our ships, our shield frequencies, our weapon types, our crew numbers. Sir, they have been watching us the entire time we thought we were hidden." Wu waited patiently for the Admiral to finish his conversation. "We do not wish to fight you, Admiral, but we will not allow you to threaten our home or continue the cycle of violence that has plagued this galaxy for millennia." The council leader found her voice again. "What exactly are you proposing?" "Earth will serve as a neutral mediator for galactic conflicts. We have 3,000 years of detailed records about every civilization, every war, every peace treaty that was broken. We know what works and what fails. Most importantly, we know when civilizations are about to make the same mistakes their predecessors made." The Morphic Collective representative spoke up. "And you expect us to simply trust you? To accept your authority, we expect you to be smart enough to learn from history." Wu replied. "Every civilization in this chamber is currently planning for war. The Krex Empire wants to expand into Vextari space. The hegemony is building secret weapons to use against the outer colonies. The free traders are selling military supplies to both sides of every conflict." Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. These were supposed to be closely guarded secrets. "We are not your enemies," Wu said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "We are your memory. We remember what happens when the galaxy chooses war over wisdom. We remember the dead worlds, the extinct species, the civilizations that destroyed themselves fighting over resources and territory." He paused and looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from every major power. "The choice is yours. Continue the cycle of violence that has defined galactic history, or work with us to build something better. But understand this, we will not allow another galactic war to destroy billions of lives. Earth has awakened, and we will be heard." The chamber remained silent as Wu walked back toward his transport. The galaxy had been given its warning, and now they had to decide what to do with it. 1 year later, Ambassador Min stood in the newly built Earth Embassy on the neutral station called Haven Point. Through the large windows, she could see ships from dozens of different civilizations docked peacefully together. A year ago, many of these same species had been preparing for war against each other. "The Krex delegation has arrived," her assistant Hyo announced. "They're requesting an immediate meeting about the border dispute with the Vextari." Min nodded and checked her schedule. 3 conflicts to resolve today, 2 trade agreements to negotiate, and 1 first contact situation to handle. Ever since Earth had become the galaxy's mediator, her days had been very busy but also very rewarding. The Krex representative, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, entered her office looking frustrated. Ambassador Min, the Vextari, are refusing to honor the mining rights we established 50 years ago. They claim the territory belongs to them now. Please sit, Min said calmly. Let me show you something. She activated a holographic display that showed the disputed star system. According to our records, this system was originally claimed by the Krex Empire in 2847. However, it was abandoned during the Third Expansion War when your forces retreated to defend the home worlds. The Krex representatives started to protest. But Min continued. The Vextari moved into the empty system in 2851 and established mining colonies. They have been working there for 174 years. Under galactic law, that makes their claim legitimate. But we were there first, the Krex insisted. Yes, and then you left. The Vextari stayed and built communities. They invested their resources and made the system productive. Our role is not to take sides, but to find fair solutions based on historical facts. Min touched another control, and the display showed a detailed timeline of the system's history. Every ship movement, every mining operation, every settlement was recorded. Earth's watchers had seen it all. I proposed a compromise. Min said the Krex Empire will acknowledge Vextari ownership of the inhabited worlds. In return, the Vex will grant Krex mining rights to the uninhabited asteroids and moons. Both sides benefit, and no one goes to war. The Krex representative thought for a moment, and if we refuse, Min smiled sadly. Then you will fight another war, spend billions of credits, lose thousands of lives, and probably end up with less than what I just offered you. We have seen this pattern many times before. After the Krex representative left, hopefully to consider the proposal, Hyo brought Min a cup of tea. How do you do it? The young assistant asked. How do you convince them to be reasonable when they've been fighting for so long? We show them the truth, Min replied. For 3,000 years, Earth has been recording everything. We know which wars were worth fighting and which ones were pointless. We know which peace treaties lasted and which ones failed. Most importantly, we know the cost of making the wrong choice. A communication came in from Defense Coordinator Lee on Earth. Ambassador, we have a situation developing in the Outer Rim. The hegemony is moving ships toward the free trader zones. Min sighed, military posturing or actual threat. Based on their formation and equipment, it looks like posturing. But Admiral Kang seems to be under pressure from his government to show strength. Patch me through to Admiral Kang directly. The Admiral's face appeared on her screen, looking tired and frustrated. Ambassador Min, I know why you're calling. But I have orders from the Hegemony Council. They want me to patrol the border. Admiral, I have your fleet's current position, course, and speed. I also know that 3 of your ships have mechanical problems and 2 others are running low on fuel. This is not an invasion force, it's a publicity show for the politicians back home. Admiral Kang rubbed his forehead. How do you always know these things? Because we've been watching and learning for 3,000 years. We know the difference between real threats and political theater. The free traders are not planning to invade hegemony space. They're too busy trying to resolve their own internal trade disputes. So what do you suggest? Turn your ships around and go home. In 3 days, I will announce that Earth mediation has successfully prevented a border conflict through diplomatic channels. You will look like a reasonable leader who chose peace over war. The politicians will be happy, and nobody dies. Admiral Kang was quiet for a long moment. And if there really had been a threat, then we would have told you about it before your own intelligence services knew it existed. We are not your enemies, Admiral. We are your early warning system. After ending the call, Min walked back to the window. Outside, a Morphic ship was docking next to a Talvec vessel. Their species had been bitter enemies for 2 centuries, but now they worked together on joint research projects. Earth's approach was simple but effective. Instead of imposing their will through force, they shared their knowledge freely. They showed civilizations the consequences of their choices before those choices were made. They reminded everyone that the galaxy's history was full of species who thought they were too strong to fail, too smart to make mistakes, too important to learn from others. The Vextari delegation is here, Hyo announced. Min smiled and prepared for another day of preventing wars that didn't need to happen. Earth had awakened, not as conquerors, but as teachers. And slowly, one conflict at a time, the galaxy was learning to listen. The sleepers had returned to guide their children away from the mistakes of the past, and the galaxy was finally growing up.